Hello, 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 and good morning, everyone. This is Caron Bailey, your independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And this morning I am going to present to you a class using the Eden Garden bundle that is going to be available for customer purchase starting on the 2nd of November. Just give me one quick second. Let me make sure that I am live and I can see what's happening, and I can respond to questions as they arise. Let's see. Nope.
Hello, everyone.
Nope, not there. How is everyone this awesome Saturday morning? Nope, not there. Awesome. Now let me turn Saturday morning. Nope, not there. Awesome. Now let me turn. Alrighty. So you guys, I am here today to share with you my first card. I gave you a sneak preview earlier in the week of the Eden Garden. Oh, I'm upside down. Anyway, the Eden Garden bundle. So I'm going to try to make sure that I put the cards the way you need to see them, okay? So this is the first card that I gave you a sneak peek of earlier this week, featuring this bundle, the Eden Garden bundle, okay? And swipe left. Okay. And I have since made multiple different versions of this card using the same monochromatic with a pop of color theme. So stick with me to the end, and I'm going to show you a couple of different other cards that I've made with it that you can create to send as part of a gift pack, or you can create it for your monthly thank you cards, whatever it is you want to use. I needed a whole bunch of birthday cards, so the majority of the cards that I made were birthday themed. All right, so take a look, and then we're going to put this guy aside just so we can have him for our inspiration. So take a look. This is the Eden Garden bundle or suite. This suite is going to be in the January to June mini catalog next year. Oops, let me go back in frame. Can you see me now? It's going to be in the January to June 2022 mini catalog, and it coordinates with the Eden dies. And in this stamp set, this is a red rubber stamp set. There's 10 different sets. Let me show you. I've already pulled a couple of the pieces, and they are already on the blocks mounted. And then I said it coordinated with the Eden dies. Let me show you what those look like. Okay. And these are the dies that coordinate with the Eden Garden bundle. Definitely can do some borders for a label, and just some decorative frames that you can use, okay? This card is going to be definitely geared towards our simple, pardon my dogs in the back, y'all. Y'all know they want to be part of the show even though they can't be on screen. Anyway, so you can use this to make a gorgeous matting layers for your sentiments that you use, or to frame your panel, or again, your edgelets right here, okay? We're not going to use any of these today, okay? So today's card, like as you can see, is going to be very, very simple, something that you can create very quickly, okay? So supply list for this project is going to be so very simple and very quick. You're going to need a piece of, and I've started using the thick as my card base. So you're going to need a basic white thick as your card base, and this piece is cut at 5 1/4, and by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4 to get you your panel. And I'm just going to go ahead and burnish this fold while I have it in my hand. Okay. And that's all I do, is I make sure that it lines up, and then I burnish. And I'm going to set this aside. And you're also going to need a piece of cardstock that is 4 by 5 1/4, and or DSP that is 4 by 5 1/4. So for the card that I'm going to demonstrate for you, I'm going to do 2 of them today. One is going to do with the one's going to be with the basic white panel, and the other is with the DSP. Okay, so we'll start with the DSP panel first. Okay, so again, here's your card base. We're going to set that aside. And here's your DSP. I use the the in color. This one is a piece that is in Pale Papaya. And I used a piece that is in Pale Papaya. And again, as I mentioned, this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then you're also going to need a piece of coordinating DSP that is 3 inches by 4 1/8. And then you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 2 7/8 by 4. Okay. And so last night I was going to prepare all of these together for you. So I've already stamped this one for the DSP panel. And because I'm doing it monochromatic, I went ahead and I pre-stamped the sentiment, the happy birthday, in Pale Papaya. And I double heat embossed the sentiment, okay? What does that mean when I tell you that I double heat embossed, okay? I went ahead and I stamped it in Pale Papaya, and very quickly, because the Stampin' Up! Inks dries very quickly, you go ahead and you add your clear embossing powder, you heat set it, and while the powder is still tacky, go ahead and add another layer of clear embossing powder and heat set that again. And that's how you do double. You can do more if you want to do more stamping. All right, so what do you do from here? I went ahead, and if I can find my Pale Papaya, I already stamped and die cut my Pale Papaya, or Fussy Cut, because there is no coordinating die for the image in the stamp set. So I went ahead and I already Fussy cut that, and I'm gonna just add it to the panel, okay? And I'm gonna use the Stampin' Up! Grid sheet just to make sure that I've lined everything up and that I made sure that I have this where I want it to be. Now, you have a couple of options here in the other cards. I have chosen to add dimensionals to it to pop it up, or you can not and just use regular adhesive. I think I'm going to use, for this card, I'm just going to use regular adhesive. And for that, I always use liquid glue just because I can't do anything straight, and I need that extra time to make sure that I line things up where they need to be. Okay, so my glue of preference is liquid glue because it gives me that extra time, like I said, to line things up where I want them to be. And I do transfer my glue to a smaller bottle. Just gives me a look to an impression, I think, of making sure that I line things up the way I need them to be. Okay, so as you can see, all I'm doing right now is making sure that I put the panel where I need for it to be. If you need to go ahead and add more adhesive because you missed a panel, or go ahead and you'll do that. Like I did, I want this guy to be, I want it all to sit down. Okay, and that's all you do. And then you add your adhesive, and there you go. Good morning, someone's watching me. Who's joining me today? All right, so once we've done that, we're going to do a couple of things to embellish this piece, okay? So what I'm going to do is I have some pearls, and I don't want to, if you don't have the coordinating gems for this, for the in colors, all you need is your Stampin' Blends, or your color coordinated alcohol marker. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to take the brush tip and I'm going to make my own coordinated gems. Okay. I don't know the chemistry and all of that, but all I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see me, I think I was off camera a little bit, is go ahead and color these. And now I have 3 color coordinated pearls that I can now add to my panel. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Hopefully I don't let them go flying all over God's creation this morning. And I'm just going to take my Take Your Pick tool and I'm going to add these where they need to go as far as the card panel is concerned. Okay. Oops, where did it go? Right here. Oops. I want one here. And I want the last one to be over here. Okay. And so you have your front and your main image panel that is complete. So this guy's done for now. There's one last step that I'm going to take to the panel, but I'm going to do that at the end. Okay. Now, when you use your DSP, again, you have options. You can just go ahead and adhere the image directly to. You can add dimensions or add dimensions. I'm going to add dimensions because I got to have dimensions, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but I got to have me some dimensions. And for me, I tend to use a lot. So I have, in addition to my Stampin' Dimensionals, I do have double-sided foam tape that I do purchase on a roll because I do use an awful lot of foam tape on my projects. And then all I'm going to do is adhere, add the foam tape to the project. What are y'all's plans for this weekend? Pardon me, y'all. Not sure why I'm getting these calls this morning. Anyway, we're gonna ignore that, and we're gonna put this guy right here. Now, here's another optional step that you can use if we want to stick true. Is you can add some ribbon or twine. For this one, I'm gonna leave it as it is. Okay, and using my Take Your Pick tool, I am just going to adhere this to the card panel. And when I tell you this is, I use a lot, do you know how many dimensionals I would have had to use in order to to be able to add, to cover this? All right, so here we go. And again, using the grid paper, I'm gonna line up and try to get this as straight as possible. And you guys, we are pretty much done with this card, right? And we're going to take adhesive again. You can use your choice depending on how much you want to add dimension to your project. So you can either do another layer of dimensionals, or you can just go ahead with your liquid adhesive and add it directly to the card base. Okay. Making sure that you know which side opens where, right? I'm going to add some liquid adhesive. Yes, I do use a square. No, I do use a lot of adhesive. I'm one of those people that when I send cards, or even when I get cards, one of the things that frustrates me sometimes is that either there's not enough adhesive or something, and they tend to pop up. But I make sure that I put adhesive definitely on the upper borders, the corners, just to make sure that my card will definitely not, will go through the mail appropriately. Okay, and so there you go. Making sure that, again, you line it up. See, I just have to take it off and aligned, and this card is finished, except for the last step. Now this last step, everybody asks me what I use. I am enamored with crystal effects. I love the shiny, I love the glittery. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Stampin' Up! Shimmery crystal effects, and where I want dimension within the flower itself, I'm just going to add a little bit of the crystal effects. So here I am. Let's see, I want some of these bubbles on here. So I'm going to add some here. I'm going to add some here. Let me put my eyes on so I can see. I'm going to add a little bit of effects here. And then I'm going to add some here to the center of the flower. I'm going to add some here also to the center of the flower. And so when this dries, there's going to be an additional layer of texture on this card. So now we can put this card aside. You guys, this is finished. So our first card is done, and we did it a little bit differently than our card. We're going to make one more with this same theme. We'll put this aside so that can dry. Okay. And we're going to still use this. So what I went ahead and I preheat the embossed, not heat embossed, I pre-embossed this embossing folder. You know, I pull those aside so that I could keep them because I don't remember anything. And I use, this one we're going to use the Bloom Hybrid embossing folder, okay? Okay. And we've already done that with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use Real Red for this one. Okay. And I have me some twine. And I'm not going to tie a bow because because I'm horrible at it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of texture, a little bit more, by just winding this white twine that wrapped around with some additional, seems like some silver, I guess ribbon, is that what it's called? I guess it's ribbon. And I'm just going to tie this off at the back. And when I say tie it off, I just mean I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive. Or you can even use some tape if you'd like. Which I didn't bother to cut some tape. I should have done that. Right? I'm going to grab my Seal Plus and see if it will roll over that without creating a mess. Well, how about we do this? Let's take that off. Whoops, I should have done that. And I'm going to add some Seal Plus. Right? And so that way, when I start this, there's already the Seal Plus at the back. And all we're going to do is go ahead and wind this. We're going to do a couple of crisscross patterns and come in the middle. So we have some dimension there as well. Okay? Then I'm going to tack this down. There we go. Make sure we don't have anything coming on that other side. And here we go. Our ribbon panel is complete. So we can go ahead and we can take this and we can already adhere the base. I tend not to adhere anything until, because I like to build and then attach. Okay, so we're going to put this aside. And we're going to grab the piece of cardstock that is 2 7/8 by 4, and we are going to stamp our sentiment. Now I went back to the Eden Garden and I grabbed the Dear Friend, How Are You sentiment, and I am going to use this to create my my sentiment panel. I'm going to grab my, I found these cute little cases in I think it was Dollar Tree. So I store my embossing powder in here, okay? And in a minute, I'm gonna use my heat tool, and you'll hear that going. So the first thing we want to do is definitely use our embossing buddy to add a little bit of, remove the static. And like I said, we are going to use this in, we are going to use Real Red. Now remember, you can use any color that you want, okay? And because, like I said, this ink dries really fast, we are going to have to work very quickly to lay down our first panel of embossing powder. Okay, so let's go ahead and ink up our sentiment. And I'm going to test just to make sure. Ooh, I had a thing there. I had a little bit of a halo. So I'm going to grab me y'all, all of a sudden I decided to go live today and everybody's messaging me, calling me. Oh, see, this is why I don't do lives very often. Anyway, I'm going to clean off that halo. I'm going to re-ink it because it does take the ink very well. Okay. And because I'm stamping upside down for me, so that you can see it right side up, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to me just so that I can see and try to get this as aligned as possible. Okay. If you see my head in the shot, I do apologize. And then I'm going to quickly dip this right into my embossing powder. See? And you got to be quick. Got to make sure that embossing powder gets right onto the ink before it completely dries. And now I'm going to let my heat tool warm up. And once that's warm, I'm going to go ahead and heat set my sentiment or heat emboss. And I'm going to use a multiple heat emboss technique just because I love this technique. All right. One of the things I absolutely love about this multiple heat emboss technique is that it just creates such an additional level of dimension. And I'm going to show you in just one second what it looks like. Okay. So after you've heat embossed it multiple times, I don't know if you can see that level of dimension, the level of shine that you get on here. Hey Michelle, how are you? And the additional detail that you'll see with the multiple embossed technique. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and put this dude aside, and we are going to stamp our image in Real Red. Now again, because we are using a monochromatic theme, I am going to stamp the image in Real Red as well. Oops. I got a little dimensional backing in my ink. I got to take that off. How are you this morning, Michelle? Thank you for joining me. And we're just going to stamp Again, I'm going to stamp on the grid paper to see what kind of an image we're getting. And I'm just going to stamp on a piece of scrap. I'm not going to heat emboss this one, although you can as well. I've never really heat embossed a distinctive image, so I'm not quite sure what that would look like, and maybe I'll do that the next time so that I can see what that looks like. Okay. So once you have your image set, you're going to have to fussy cut this because, again, there is no coordinating die for this image. So you're going to have to die cut it with the snips. Okay. Now, because I don't want to have to go through a whole lot, I just start by making sure that I'm working with a smaller surface. And then I'm going to fussy cut, leaving a little bit of a white border when I start. And again, if you don't know, if you're not familiar or are used to fussy cutting is just when you don't have a die, is making sure that you're able to die cut your image without the die. But what's important about die cutting is or fussy cutting rather, is that your non-dominant hand, whichever hand you're not holding the scissors with, this is the hand that's doing the majority of the work, y'all. This hand is the one you're turning your paper, and the scissors is the one that you're cutting, but this is the one that's going to keep you with your border as consistent as possible. And sometimes you may have to go slower than other times, especially if you don't want to make a mess like I do. All right, and keep turning. And wherever you turn, that's where the scissors is going to cut, because it's already geared towards cutting. Now, if you don't know about Eden's Garden, you guys, Eden's Garden, this is a set that's going to be released and available for customer purchase. It's going to be available on November 2nd. And this will be in the January to June mini catalog next year. It will be available then, but Stampin' Up is releasing it early for you guys. Now, most demonstrators are available or able to order this set between now and October 31st, but it will be available for purchase to all of our customers come November 2nd, so that you can also start playing with this beautiful bundle. And it is a suite. It comes with a suite of products. There is coordinating designer series paper, coordinating gems. Of course, you saw the die that came with the bundle. So this is a coordinating suite. Now, it's very important for you to realize and to remember that in this collection that's released in November, you guys, all of the parts and pieces will not be available in the January to June mini catalog. So if you're going to think about this bundle and you're loving all of the pieces that I'm going to demonstrate for you throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, you're going to have to get whatever you want that you like ahead of time, because I'll definitely tell you which pieces will not be available in the catalog come next year. And I don't fussy cut very fast, and it's amazing that I'm even fussy cutting while I'm talking, because that's just like a thing for me. I can't, what is it, walk and talk or walk and chew gum at the same time? Yeah. So this is where I'm at with that. Do y'all have any plans for the weekend? My sister called and she wanted to do something, but I had already committed. One of my friends had asked if they could stop by, and I kind of forgot about that. So I'm going to have some friends over, not for a long time, but one of my friends is going to come over. She's going to spend a little bit of time with me before she has to go to her event that she's going to. So she's going to be in town for a little bit and decided she wanted to pop in and say hi to me. So I'm going to spend a little time with my friends, but the majority of the day, y'all, I'm going to either be in my kitchen cooking or I'm going to be in my craft room crafting. That's what I do on my weekends. In my craft room crafting or my kitchen cooking. We are almost done with fussy cutting this guy out, and we can put this onto our card base and move on from there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pop everything up this time. Majority of everything. Again, here, here, here. I do use an awful lot of dimensionals. Somebody might say, oh, that's just a small piece, but I use a lot of dimensionals. I don't like things, if they're supposed to be shut, it's supposed to be shut. If it's not supposed to be lifting, then I don't want it to lift. At all. So here we go. We're going to grab our design, our image. We're going to take these, the backings off. I think my neighbor moved or sold his house, or whoever's bought the house, they're getting the house next door to me ready for them to occupy. And so there have been a painters next door, and even though they've been here for the week already, my dogs just don't like anything that appear to encroach on their space. They are just not having it at all. All right, so now that we've taken all the backings off, I am now going to, I've been putting this little piece over there. So here we go. I'm going to put that here. And again, I am just going to color my pearls with real red. If I can find my... And I always use the dark one. The dark Stampin' Blend. I think on the pearls it gives me a little bit more of a truer color. So I always use the dark. And it's going to dry fairly quickly. And then all I'm going to do is now adhere it to my panel. All right. I think I want to change directions of how I've been doing my pearls. Just a tad. Oops. There we go. Put you here. Right there. And then put this guy up here. This panel is done. Coordinating piece of real red cardstock, and this panel measures 4 inches by 4 1/8. Again, I'm going to adhere that panel with liquid glue. Making sure that I touch glue in the corners because I don't want it to lift. And then I'm going to try to line this up as closely as possible, centering the image panel. There we go. Now we're going to bring this piece back in, and I'm looking for, okay, I think that's fairly well covered. We won't press too hard on there, right? And now, again, this was the Bloom Hybrid folder, embossing folder, and I am going to add some dimensionals. But remember, because we have this image right here, we don't want it to be too bulky in that area, we're going to have to kind of remember to just put adhesive at the top, at the bottom, so that it will adhere and it'll be over this. Okay, so here we go. Adhesive. Thank you guys for bearing with me. My dogs rule my house to a certain extent, so I try not to shut them up, because they are doing their job. They are announcing to the world, hey, we are here. We are watching and making sure that you know that we know that you are here. So I don't really, as long as they're not too loud and it's not too consistent, and even then, I kind of always know by the tone of their bark if I need to be engaged or not in what they're seeing. And I know from that that I don't need to be engaged. All right, so now I'm going to take the backing off of my dimensional, my foam tape, and I'm just going to line it up and make sure that I align this on the grid paper and centered on the panel, and there we go. Okay, now because I did not put adhesive in the center, there isn't there's not that little hump in the middle that I have to worry about trying to overcome. All right, so this is it for this card, you guys, and I'm just going to now adhere it to the card base. Again, this is a 5.5 by 4 1/4 panel. And this is there. And now I'm just going to add me some adhesive and call this card complete. So what do you think about these cards? I did this card for a Creative 8 challenge. There was a Creative 8. I did Creative 8, I think it was last weekend, right? And there was to design a monochromatic card, and I chose to use the Eden Garden bundle last week. And this was one of the cards, or this was the card that I created. Now I'm adding a little extra of the liquid glue because it has been embossed, and so there's cracks and crevices, and I want to make sure everything adheres perfectly. Okay, again, making sure that your card opens and it's aligned with the opening. Go ahead and adhere the panel to the card base and finish your card. Okay. Okay. And one last trick I'm going to show you, and it's not really a trick, is I'm going to add again, if I can find where I put it, which I can't seem to find where I put it. Ah, here it is. My crystal effects. And again, I am just going to go through and add some texture to my image. And I want a little crystal effects in here. A little here. Let's put a little bit here. How about these guys right here? And there's no rhyme to reason as to how you choose. It's completely up to you where you choose to add your crystal effects. Okay? And there you go. You guys, let me bring back in the other ones that I've completed, and so you can see that what you can work with. Okay. So here we did one, and this one has the crystal effects. This one was done with fresh freesia, and I just added a little bow to the corner. I don't know if you can see it. that's card number 1. And I used the embossing folder I used with this one is, what is this one called? I used the Stylish Scroll embossing folder. And that's the beauty of this card, you guys. If you keep it simple with doing just a basic white card base, you can use, you can add dimension with the, or additional style element with regular embossing folders. So here's one I did with that. This one, like I said, was Fresh Freesia. Of course, you know, this is the one we just did in Real Red. Here's one that we did with Soft Seafoam. And this one I used the Scripty embossing folder. You can see the embossing folder, Scripty. And then here's the one we did today, earlier, with the Pale Papaya version. And the one that started it all, this one I did in Pacific Point, and the Time Worn embossing folder. Okay, I have got several others that are pre-made or ready to go. I tried to do them all in the in color. So the last one I'm going to do is one in Evening Evergreen, and I have to do one in the Polished Pink. So I have a complete set. You guys, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Saturday morning with me. We've been here for a little bit of time. I'm going to try to come to you live on Saturdays if I can, when I can, and share with you some of our creations. I'm also getting a little bit better and trying to post YouTube videos. So if you can, definitely pop on over, and I'll put a link because I'm going to share this on my YouTube channel as well as on my demonstrator website, my online shop. So definitely try to follow me on my socials, you guys, and I'm going to promise you that I'm going to try to get a little bit more better. Wait, that's not good English. I'm going to try to get better, because there's no such thing as more better, at coming to you and posting videos of my projects. Again, today we featured the Eden's Garden Bundle. This set and suite will be available to everyone for purchase on November 2nd. Please feel free to check out my website, www.sweetsignatures.stampinup.net. And if you are going to shop with me anytime today before the end of the month, this is the hostess code, October hostess code for the month. Guys, when you shop in my online store in that month, you become eligible to receive into the drawing for a giveaway, and I will send you a thank you card just for shopping anyway, but you will be eligible for a giveaway just for shopping and spending some time with me either in my class or online shopping. Thank you guys. Have a great Saturday, and God bless. Happy stamping, y'all.